Good afternoon. Here we are with a very special lady, and this lady's name is Bridget Anne Welsh, and Bridget and I met each other in Fremantle on the 20th of October at a meeting, and the meeting is that it was for an organisation which I'm supporting called Justice First Incorporated, and they are building an organisation in Western Australia called Justice First for victims of crime. And it just so happens that Bridget was at the meeting. Did you want to tell the public how you came to be at the meeting?
Well, they were going to give me a depot, and it was lunchtime, and I said I don't need lunch. And I said I didn't need the injection and I wasn't going to have it, that I left, and I went into Claremont.
And where were you?
At Graylands, and it took me about an hour to walk there. That I went to the bank to try and get some money out, and I was told that my brother was my attorney, that he was in charge of my money, and so I couldn't get anything out. That I could have done with some money to have a nice meal.
And what's your brother's name?
Christopher Welsh. That fortunately for me, I had some money. That I had a coffee at a little cafe in Claremont in Bayview Terrace before I went to Fremantle. I caught the train down there. That I went. It was only 2 zones, and I paid for 3 zones, which came to about $3.50. That I was very pleased that I had the money. That it was all in coins, that I could work the machines. That I asked the man there how to work the machine so I could get my ticket and my change back. That I didn't put enough money in at first, so I had another 50 cents, that I got 10 cents change, and I was really pleased that I had coins. That I had notes as well. That later on that day I just walked all the way around Fremantle, went down to the park and all the way around, and I came back and got myself a sensible fresh fruit drink with apple, beetroot and pineapple. It was absolutely delicious, and it was a big drink. That it cost me $11. That I also bought suffer with low blood sugar, so I felt faint, and a very nice man actually bought me a hamburger with cheese and tomato. It had no pickles. It was really delicious. That the roll was hot, and he paid I think $7 for it. That I also bought a punnet of strawberries for breakfast that had fructose in it as sugar, so I wouldn't get low blood sugar problems and nearly faint like I did before I got my hamburger. And
you had been sleeping on the streets for...
That I was sleeping on the streets and in a stairwell.
For how many nights?
3. That it was worth it. That I wasn't frightened. I was more frightened being in Graylands than being on the street in Fremantle. That I found out that there was a lot of crime going on in Fremantle. That I wasn't frightened.
So that you'd been on the street homeless?
For 3 nights.
Yep.
That I was down sunbaking in the park in front of the hotel, near the Ferris wheel.
And you said you felt safer?
Yes, I did.
Would you want to tell the public how you felt safer?
I didn't feel threatened. Nobody was making fun of me. That when I went into the shops, people greeted me nicely. That there really are very nice people out there, nicer than the people in Graylands.
But you felt safer on the street of Fremantle than you did at Graylands?
Yes.
Okay, why did you... well, first of all, before we talk about that, we'll talk about then you walked into this meeting?
Yes, and I was so pleased that I'd done it. Because...
It was a public meeting in Fremantle.
That I was told that it was on. That when I saw the sign at the bottom of the stairs, I just went up, and it was at the Fremantle Council, and I was really pleased to have been, because I got a cup of coffee which I needed with milk, and a lemonade drink which I needed for sugar, and I felt really good because I needed those drinks. That I was going into Myers a lot and looking what they had for Christmas, and I liked their Christmas decorations. That I had to lie on the bed because I was very tired. That I went to the nursing mother's area and had a sleep in the chair because I was really tired because I hadn't slept because I was freezing cold.
On the streets.
Freezing cold. That I was only getting about an hour's sleep. That everything was really hard and cold. That the air was blowing down my neck. It was freezing. That I had a jumper, so I was so lucky that I was dressed well for the occasion. That I felt really very happy to be away from Graylands.
And you said you felt
and
safer
confident, yes,
on the street than in
yeah.
Graylands, so why is that?
Because I was smashed in the face by a girl there which made my nose bleed prolifically. That it just poured into my hand. That they blamed me for the whole thing, and it wasn't my fault because I wasn't allowed to go to my bedroom to lie down. That there's not enough chairs or couches for people to rest on. That they lock you out, and they spend hours cleaning, and all the women do is gossip at the back, and they don't even tuck your bed in nicely. That the beds all come apart. That the showers are hot, but you have to queue up for them. That they expect you to get out of bed early and have a shower before breakfast. The breakfast only is 2 pieces of toast with rubbish jam, and the honey is useless. The margarine is cheap and nasty. Everything in Graylands is cheap and nasty. That I was told it cost me $1,000 a day to be in Graylands, and it's not even worth it because the food's inedible and it's crap. And I didn't eat half of it. That I was having salads without meat. They were giving me beans out of a can that I couldn't even eat, and they knew I was allergic to beans. And it upset my gut, and so does bread.
And how did the psychiatrist treat you?
Badly. They threatened if I left the premises I'd be locked up again. That I actually don't care now because I know that Jesus was on my side, and I was actually meant to meet Teresa, and I really feel that, and I feel confident enough to say it, that I'd like to campaign with her because the work she's doing for the mentally ill and the homeless is just so important, because people just take it for granted they've got houses, cars and a job. That I'd love to have a job and a house and a car. That because I had a fit on my medication, they took the car away and my brother sold it, along with my mother's. That my mother's in a nursing home and so is my father. He's in high care, and mum's got dementia, and they're looking for better accommodation for her. That she only had 60 days to find somewhere. That it cost $250,000 to put someone in a nursing home. That they're not even worth it because they steal, they don't feed them properly either. They give rubbish cake that my father couldn't eat, so no one feeds him. That I think the family is supposed to come in and feed the patients. That I had no car to get there, and Graylands wouldn't let me go and see them. That my mother, when she saw me, was so happy to see me that she hugged me and I hugged her. And I hugged her again. I didn't want to leave her there. That Jackie was there, who said my brother was her attorney, that he was in control of her money. She didn't have any money to get a haircut. That she was having the injection of cortisone because she had a fall and she was in a lot of pain. That she had to have a walker because she's very pigeon-toed. That she has like a knee replacement. It's called a partial knee replacement in one of her legs. That she's almost a cripple, and if she falls over and breaks the leg with a partial knee replacement, she's going to be in a lot of trouble and probably bleed to death.
Okay, let's talk about you and your circumstances, and because I'm worried about you, and what I want you to tell the public is, what do you think about the drugging and what they've been doing to you? They've been torturing this lady for 30 years.
that it hasn't helped me at all. Doesn't even help you sleep. That I have been on Mogadon, that have given me nightmares, so they had to take me off that. They've had to take me off medication because I can't actually take it. That I have allergies to medications. That I'm on medical alert. That medical alert asks me drugs that I'd prefer not to be taking anymore. That sodium valproate's been making my hair fall out, and the hair doesn't like me being in Graylands because my hair is receding. That he knows that medication makes people's hair fall out. That it keeps falling out in brushes every time I brush it.
And you walked out of there because you
Felt very in danger. Frightened.
You were frightened for your life
Yes.
because they're drugging you
Yes.
forcibly.
Yes.
And do you want them to drug you?
No.
Okay. And why don't you want them to? You find that you can't.
Well, it gives me diarrhea.
You can't
And
do
it
anything.
causes me not to be able to do anything. I can't sit down. That I've been lying on the front because I can't lie on certain angles because it hurts too much. The injections are so painful. They make you cry, and I've actually screamed in pain.
And what about the other people there?
They do the same.
They're forcing all their drugs and treatments and all their
That when
barbaric treatments, psychosurgery and ECT, and forcibly putting chemical compounds into the human body that destroy the health of humans and the mental health of humans. I'm a phys ed teacher, health teacher, and I know that for a fact. And they're just murdering people with their treatments. The Mental Health Act of 1996 and the new one, the draft new one was worse, permits murder, torture and slavery. And forced incarceration, voluntary treatment, we call it, but it's forced, locking people up against their will, and forced drugging is torture. And you're murdering people in Graylands, and I want Graylands, I want those people freed, and I want them living in the community.
That I'd like to be living out in the community, that I've got no house because I've been evicted from Vincent Care, who are very dishonest. They actually put up the rent every time we get payment from Social Security. That they maybe pay back pay of $300. That they put the rent up so you can't get enough food per week. They come into your house to check to see if you're eating properly and whether you're taking your medication. That I was under a silver chain and they wouldn't go use my dose set box. That it's cost a lot of money for pensioners to be on the chemist dose set box.
So they force you to have the drugs,
and then they force me to have silver chain as well.
And then they force you to pay for it.
Yes.
So they force people to inject them with chemical compounds, and then they make them pay for it economically. That's torture and cruelty.
And it costs $200 per injection. It's not even worth it.
Well, yeah, it's your money, and basically. What do you think should happen to Graylands?
Should be closed down. That all of them should be. That you're in prison. That you're not allowed to go out.
So it's like a prison?
Yeah, that I got out of the grounds fortunately because it wasn't walled. That I was really pleased that it wasn't.
The Great Escape, Bridget's Great Escape, eh?
It was worth it. But I'm very pleased to be here with Teresa at the moment. That I was really lucky that she was prepared to let me stay at her place for nothing because I've got no money. That my brother's in charge of and he's my attorney, he has all my money.
He's controlling your money, and what do you think about that?
I think it's appalling that I'm able to budget, that I had to budget and make sure I had money enough in my bank to keep my bank account open all the time, that I'm paying HBF, that I've been having x-rays because of constipation and impacted bowel, that I've been having to take medication to give me a way of doing poo, and I've been having diarrhea from the medication from it.
So how do you feel now?
A lot better. That I had an accident at Graylands because I had diarrhea.
Well, Bridget's been with me since Saturday, that's when we met, and today's Wednesday. So
and I'm really happy to be out.
So she's been staying.
I feel confident about being out. but I don't feel confident about being in Graylands one little bit.
Well, you ran away from there, didn't you?
Yeah,
And
I did.
and you've been with me since Saturday. That's Saturday afternoon, because so when we met on Saturday, now it's Wednesday. Saturday afternoon, Sunday, Monday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you've been with me for nearly 5 days, and I've had to. What have I had to do?
Make food and go shopping for me because I've got no money.
Because your brother's controlling your money, but I'm scared to ring your brother, aren't I?
Yes, we are.
Why am I scared?
Because Graylands and the police will put me back in and take me in a paddy wagon and go speeding all the way there, that they don't care how they drive, that there's no air in the paddy wagon, then an Aboriginal man actually died in a paddy wagon, that they just shove you in. And I have been shoved in like a coffin and just pushed my feet up so they could shut the door, and I had to sit up. There's nothing to hold on to, and there's no seat belt, that the police are reporting drivers, and I've seen them speeding along the freeway and they expect to weave in and out of traffic without any worries that they speed as well. That I watched them on the freeway near my house. That I've had bad dreams about the trains coming off the railway line and coming into the traffic. There's no barricade. That there's been accidents at Vincent Street because nobody gives way to the cars there. That I'm worried. I already know that there's been a car on the railway track at Leederville, near where I lived.
You were in a house, a unit, before you were locked
I was
up.
in Unit 255 Dugan Street at Mount Hawthorn. That my parents actually put down the tiles in there because I couldn't take the linoleum. That all the other houses had linoleum. That the man called Gary Templeman said to me that all the houses should have had tiles. They would have been a lot better off.
And who owns those houses?
St Vincent de Paul, but it's actually a Holmes West house and they're running it. And they don't even like coming to visit you. They try to avoid it. That they only come and see you once a week at half an hour. That they check in the fridge to see if you've got food, and they come on the day when you get your check and when you're supposed to be buying food. That if you're away from them and you're in a lot of trouble, that they can actually kick you out anytime they like and put you into hospital anytime they like. They have no training. They train on the job. They're a useless bunch of people and they're a terrible organisation.
And they kicked you out of your accommodation. How did that come about?
I'm not quite sure. They just don't like me. That they couldn't wait to get me out. That the mentally ill really do need a place to live. That there is a queue waiting to get in. So somebody will be in my house by now that I won't be getting it back.
And they organised for you to be sent to
Graylands.
They
had
sent
a
her
key
to
to get
Graylands
into
to
my
be
house.
drugged and locked up.
And they've been pinching things out of my house. That I've lost 2 fry pans, a cooking pot, beautiful things that I had in my house. I probably lost all my bedding, and my beautiful pots that I had plants in are all be gone. But I was actually looking after my garden, had a very serious operation, appendicitis. They didn't know whether I was going to live or die. I was due to medication, that I wasn't allowed to drink enough water to flush everything through, that I had appendicitis, that it was acute, that I had poo in my appendix.
It's a miracle this lady's alive, because they've been doing this to you for 30 years.
Off and on, yeah.
And
It's my family.
And how it started, how did it all start?
Well, my mother couldn't stand the sight of me, so she just put me into Graylands.
That's cruelty, isn't it? How cruel is that?
She's a bitch, actually, that I've got no time for her. That I wanted to go and see a psychologist, that she wouldn't pay for me to see one. So I was put into the mental health psychiatrist. The first one I saw was Robert Finley Jones down at Fremantle Public Mental Health. That he wanted to put his arm around me when I first got there. And I said I was perfectly all right where I was sitting.
What's his name?
Robert Finley Jones.
We're going to name all the psychiatrists and the people who've hurt him. Bridget, publicly. Where is he now? He's in jail, is he?
He was. I don't know if he's still there.
And you told me what else? What happened to you at Perth Clinic?
I was actually raped They drugged me first to make me sleep, and the man told me that I feel everything when I rushed out screaming in pain.
Was it a psychiatrist?
No, it was a nurse.
A mental health nurse?
That I don't know.
Do you know his name?
No. Because
when I find out who did that, well, you know, make sure you get jailed. Sorry, keep going.
That I'm actually frightened to go into hospital because of it.
That's why you were locked up at that Perth clinic?
No, that I had access, but I wasn't allowed out because I actually ran across the road and I was seen doing it. And I hadn't done that.
But did you want to be there?
No, not really.
Okay, the whole point is, have you ever wanted to be locked up against your will?
Never. That I've been forced into it by the police and the psychiatric world, that I've got no time for the psychiatric world at all. I'd like them all to be in jail, including the psychiatrists. That they're very dishonest and cruel, and they laugh at you because you're in their control and you're locked up and you're not allowed out. That if you get out, you have to be escorted. That you also have unescorted ground access, that you're not allowed to leave the premises. That I've been in Graylands for more than 3 months. That I actually was lucky to be able to get away. That they have security cameras all around the yards. That I went for a walk and I decided the best thing to do was just leave and risk it. That I got all the way to Fremantle by train. That I felt really happy to be down there. That I went into all the shops that I could, arcades, and I went to have that special drink. That I really needed a meal. That the meals cost about $10.50 down there. That I have been down there before and had.
You haven't got any money now, and I've been providing food and bought you some clothing and stuff.
Yes, I
She's
got
here
pants.
for free because I'm not going to let her go back, and that's why we're doing this recording. Well, several reasons, but one of them is because when I tell people that you're with me,
I'm an intelligent person.
You can try and lock her up again. I have to fight for her freedom. Do you feel that?
I feel as though it's been worth me getting out. That I feel confident. That I want to go to art school and do fashion design certificate number 4.
Because you're an artist, aren't you?
Yes, that I'm passionate about textiles. That I've got 2 art diplomas, graphic design and fine art.
And I've seen some of Bridget's art. It's pretty good, but I reckon you can do a lot better. Like, I reckon you've got...
I've got a lot of talent that I actually could do with a place where I could paint. And I want to support myself through painting, so I could do a course that my paintings for a postcard size could be worth $25,000. That if I did a painting of 4 feet by 6 could be worth $1 million.
And you want... She's a good artist.
That I wanted to do a wildflower painting. That I had very expensive paints called Art Spectrum from Jackson's, and I bought $1,000 worth. That I had pastels, that people like my pastels more than my paintings. That I love pastels. That I had a whole lot in a box, Rembrandt and another one. That they had special highlight pastels as well. That I like doing still life and flowers. That I've done botanical art in a course. That I'm very interested in doing floral. That it'd be nice to do floral designs for fashion.
And you want to live in the community?
Yeah, and I feel as though everything's been worth it. Because one of the kinder psychiatrists called Francisco Rizal let me go to Jackson's and buy some art gear, and I had $200 to go and do it. And I went, but I didn't have a list, so I forgot to buy an eraser and a kneadable rubber. And I bought myself a special knife to sharpen Conti pencils. That they took that away from me and knocked it up.
Right, you need a place to live, don't you?
And
in the community?
Yeah, and there's self-harming going on in Graylands with pencils. That they need to bandage them, so you don't have any art equipment out to do anything at all. That weekends are boring because there's nothing to do. That there's violence because people are locked in.
They're locked in and they're drugged.
And I'm frightened that there are drugs that people are on that causes violence, and they know it. And I can name it. It's called olanzapine Zyprexa. that I've been on it, and I have felt like being violent myself, but I had self-control enough not to.
She's a sweet lady, and the research evidence says everywhere that they cause death, premature death, and increase the risk of violence and suicide as well. And you want to live in the community? You don't want to live. Where do you want to live, in the community or in Graylands?
In the community, not Graylands.
And you want to control your own money?
Yes, that I'd like to buy my own food and cook, that I had special Le Creuset pots that would pinch.
And be able to get some art supplies.
That they're the best for the gas stove, that I was cooking in water rather than fat, that I use oil and water when I was cooking, because it's better for me.
Another file here. Alright, we're going to name some of the people involved. What do you think of Bob? Who's this guy here? You take.
Bob Serrich. He's cruel and nasty. That he said to.
And who is he?
He's a superintendent and he's a psychiatrist in Graylands.
And what did you want to tell the public about him?
He's cruel and nasty. That he keeps people in Graylands and he enjoys not letting them out at all. That there's one who's got a unit of her own now, who's very happy, who's actually cooking for herself and doing OT and art out in the community, and she's loving it. That I saw her while I was in there because I was actually friends with her. That she was watching me do my art, that she's actually a good artist and I told her so. And her sons are artists, that she's helped them to get there. That I really wanted her to go to art school and do something there, that I told her to go.
I don't know these people. Bridget gave me their names. So
and
you
there's Dr. Ong that I was under.
Oh, Ong, yeah.
That I don't know his Christian name, that thought it was especially funny that I was going to be forcibly injected that day, that he ran out. That it hurt me so much that I couldn't even stand up, that I was on the floor in tears and in agony, that finally I got up, that it was too painful for me to sit in the car. There was in so much pain, I was crying. That they don't care how they give you the injections and where they give it to you, that it's got oil based and it's for a month. And so to be injected for a month should be illegal. Nobody should have a month's supply of medication in one hit. And I was also on pills
it's torture.
as well.
It's torture to force people.
And I was very worried.
Inject chemical compounds.
I'm very worried about the mentally ill, because I'm not mentally ill at all.
Yeah, well, they're not mentally ill. There's no such thing as mental illness. It's just all.
That I'm pleased to be out, and I feel very honoured that Teresa was prepared to have me in her house and give up her double bed for me. That
yeah, I'm still sleeping in the lounge room, so.
That I don't mind if I sleep in the lounge room.
No, it's alright, you can have my room. But you gave me the names of some other people. Who's this person here?
What's it say?
Well, you gave me those
Oh,
names.
Barbara Sawatsky I saw for the first time I was there, that I wanted to go and stay with, and I wanted her to be my mother, because my mother was so awful to me that she put me into Graylands then. That her name is Barbara Sawatsky. She's especially nice. That I saw her this time while I was there. She went and got into her car, and I couldn't remember her name until after I'd seen her, that she knew who I was, that all the psychiatrists know who you are.
Well, who's this one here? Who's that man? Francisco's
another psychiatrist that I was under in Murchison. That
what's his last name?
Rizal. That he is Spanish. That they have foreigners.
And where was he?
He was at Graylands. That he was an especially nice person, who let me go to Jackson's to get some art gear that I came back with a folio, and I was nearly blown away by the wind. That I got
so he was okay to you?
I got a smart card. That he wants me to have injections too.
But he forced you to have injections?
Yeah, that that the patients really do need to see people there. That people are too frightened to come and visit. They don't like coming into the grounds because they're frightened to come. That
I'd love to go in with a video camera, that's what I'd love to do.
That you're not allowed to have a video camera, and you're not allowed to use a camera on your mobile phone to phone anything and to picture any of what's going on. That people chuck furniture around, they bash each other up. There's a lot of violence in Graylands, and I'm actually very frightened of Graylands, and I don't want to go back because I am full of fear. I'm frightened, and the doctor knew I was when he said, you have to go to Graylands. I said, I'm very frightened, that I had the police there that were huge and strong, that they took my teddy away and got me out of bed. They forced me to be out of bed. They dropped me on the floor on my tiles. They held me onto the stretcher and tied me down. I went in an ambulance.
That's cruelty and torture.
I went into an ambulance. They were actually going to inject me, but they decided not to because I can't take the injections and they know it. That I propel myself off the bed.
Did you feel like they were trying to kill you?
Yes. I was very frightened of them too, that they were huge. That I barricaded myself in to try and keep Vincent Kerr out, that she was a strong woman, that she had the key to my door and forced her way in. And I had couches up against the door. She called it a fire hazard because my neighbour kept getting into my house, that he is a violent person, that he's known to be nasty as well, that he had the right to have a house next to mine, that he didn't like noise at all, that he was putting up weeds in my garden, put a plant in my tree and watered my tree to give it fungus, that I had to use methylated spirits that I heard on the gardening program to try and cure the tree of algae, that he rang up the nurses to try and get me taken away, that he should have been put in Graylands rather than me, that he's still got the house, that he doesn't eat properly, that he's bent over, that they think he's a super bloke, that he's dirty, had the house before me, didn't even clean the shower for me, that I had to buy cleaning stuff and do it myself because Vincent Kerr wouldn't clean and they wouldn't make him pay for a cleaner to come and clean, that they would have charged me money to have a cleaner to clean my house and they kicked me out, and also to weed the garden, that I left the weeds in there so the earth wouldn't blow into my house, that I had a very interesting garden.
Have you ever seen anyone die at Graylands?
No, but I've seen people in a lot of agony and screaming and in torture, that they try and take you away so no one can see what's going on, that I actually know, and I'm actually very concerned for everyone in there.
Well, have you seen people that have died that have been taken out?
I have been warned that they do die in there. A guy told
And we need
me.
to have a royal commission. We need to find out how many people died in the last 50 years under this psychiatric practice system.
That what they're doing
and
should be made illegal.
That the Mental Health Act 1996, or the new act they're bringing in, should be repealed, and that the practice of psychiatry should be abolished because of all the murder and death going on. And that
And they all have
we
problems.
should flatten Graylands, close Graylands,
Close it. It
and
should
put a
be.
big memorial up there. What do you
It
think
should
about
be
that?
for an infectious hospital only.
Well, what about if we close the whole thing and destroy it and put a big memorial up there for all the people that have died?
I think it'd be a good idea. It's a
Think that-
terrible place. It's
think that would be
lonely
better?
there. You don't have any friends.
It's too much death and evil, isn't it? Don't you reckon?
And the nurses laugh at you because you're in control of them. That they can force you to have injections whenever they like.
We're in control of you.
And if you don't take your PRN or your medication, you get forcibly injected anyway. And I think the whole system is shit, actually. And I'd like
It's pretty bad, isn't it?
And the mental health people don't want to bother with you, really. That I have wanted to commit suicide because my family don't want to bother with me either, and they don't either. They've locked me up.
And your
That's-
family put you in there.
Yeah, I'm so pleased to be out and about again, that I want to live with a man, that I'd like to be married, and somebody told me, a psychic man said I'd have a very strong marriage when I did, that I'm a mature person, nearly 61 years of age. My birthday's next Monday, the 29th of October, that I was born in 1951, and it was a special time I was born, that I've had my astrology chart done, that I've got moon in
Taurus
the rising, that I love nature, I love art, and I love people, that I'm
She's a sweet lady.
very interested in human nature, that I've got a lot of interests, that I haven't done much with it because I've been dyslexic and have trouble reading, that I wanted to be a primary school teacher and teach grade 3 because they're interested in the world, and so am I, that I love watching television, that I've learnt a lot from television, and so I feel as though I've got about 4 degrees, that I love watching World Watch and Foreign Affairs and Compass and lovely serials on TV and the news to keep up with everything. And
So you're a smart lady, aren't you?
yes,
And you're very caring as well.
that I used to look after my nephews and niece, that they don't want to bother with me either. They don't come and visit me when I was in my unit. That I'm concerned about them because we have Parkinson running in the family, that I've had stelazine, which the side effect is Parkinson's. And I've
That's
been
the
on
drug
it.
from the
Yeah,
drug.
and it's given me very
Stop drugging her, okay? Stop
sensitive
drugging her.
fingertips and tingling fingertips every time I touch something, that the doctor, Dixon, had to take me off them, and he said I should have told him earlier about it was stelazine, 2 tablets. The tablets also make you vomit and sun sensitive, that it was provided and made me sun sensitive, that Largactil is known to make you vomit, that a lot of the tablets have made me vomit, and olanzapine started to give me migraine headaches. They can all give you headaches and diabetes and heart disease, that the doctors don't actually care, that I've got fibrillation from medications that they're giving me very
They're not
strong
doctors.
dose.
They're not doctors because they're destroying people's health. They destroy the human body, those drugs and those treatments, and they destroy the mental health as well. And psychosurgery and ECT, electric shock, are dangerous,
And they make you
barbaric
lose
and cruel, don't you
yeah,
reckon?
and they make you lose your memory. And memory is extremely important because you actually have to remember to take your own medication when you're at home.
It's torture. It's torture. Those treatments are torture. They've been doing it for 200 years around the world. Torture, death, slavery, controlling people's assets and money, and forcing them to live on the street is criminal. And we want your control of your money back,
Yes, I do, please.
because your brother's controlling it but you're not getting any.
That I don't like the Mental Health Board at all, and I think they should all be jailed, what they're doing to the people in Graylands.
So what else do you think about the Mental Health Board?
I think
Got
they're
some correspondence
useless.
here, we're going to go through that in a minute.
That I think they're useless. That they don't even like listening to what you have to say. That I actually had a psychiatrist there, and somebody from
We've got correspondence here which Bridget had with her, and well, the Mental Health Review Board, did you want to say anything else about them?
that they have
The Mental Health Review Board?
they have a psychiatrist, a lawyer, and a lay person. That I also, with me, I had my person from the Mental Law Centre, who's a lawyer, and I also had my psychiatrist that I was seeing at the time, called Dr. Ong, who was present.
Jason is a lawyer from the Mental Health Law Centre. Sorry, keep going, yeah.
That they interview you, that they actually wanted me to stay on medication because I wasn't taking it properly, because I can't take it. That they put me on involuntary, so I'd have to be forcibly injected and forcibly have to take it. That I don't need it, that I told them I didn't need to have my injection. They said, yes you do, when I didn't. That I feel a lot better since I've been on nothing at all. That I feel excellent and happy, that I'm not high, I'm not depressed, that I'm feeling really very good, confident, and I feel as though people should be allowed to be in the community and allowed to do their own shopping and drive a car without seeing a psychiatrist at all. And I don't like being on social security because you don't get enough money to live on. But I'd actually like to be in the workforce and earn money. That they're going to make people work in the workforce, that I'm 61, that they're increasing the age before you can retire right now, that I need the money very badly, that I've only got about 6,000 in my account, no house, no car, that I actually need my car to go shopping and to visit mum and dad. It's all been taken away because I had a fit on medication, because I wasn't allowed to drink enough water, that I've been on very high doses of sodium valproate, 1500, that they know I should only be on low doses, that I was on risperidone as well, and another one to stop me from being depressed and so I'd sleep at night, that the beds are so uncomfortable in Graylands that you don't sleep, they don't actually care, that I stay awake all night in so much pain that I don't even sleep and I cry all night. They don't even give a shit about that either. That people do cry with the injections, that they actually wanted to give it to me in the arm when it's really painful in my bottom, and it's got oil in it, that it breaks up every day and you feel depressed on it, unhappy on it, that people don't like you, the patients don't like you, you don't have any friends in there, that the guys that I was with really did like me and they knew I was concerned for them, that they have Aboriginal
just torching people.
And there was Aboriginal people in there that shouldn't have been there, that they go on walkabouts, so they used to leave the premises.
Well, who would want to stay there? You would walk out, you wouldn't want to stay there.
No, that
you walked out.
The boys were doing it, so they got locked up again, so they couldn't leave the premises, so they had nowhere to go.
Okay, we're going to talk about some of the paperwork. That there's a letter, earliest letter. It's the 26th of July 2012. And it's from the Mental Health Law Centre that says, we refer to our discussion with you about your application for a review under the Mental Health Act 1996. And that they were going to represent you at this hearing.
Yes.
And that they stated a voluntary patient, which would mean you could choose to refuse or accept psychiatric treatment, you could choose to leave a hospital. They
only let me be involuntary, so I couldn't do anything.
And an involuntary patient, which means you must accept the treatment ordered by your treating psychiatrist and stay in hospital or be treated in the community as decided by your psychiatrist. So we're going to talk about those issues in a minute and the rights or lack of rights of people.
When you're an involuntary patient, you don't have any rights at all.
There's no rights because it's forced on a person